13 brands once known for the strongest engines and the longest lifespans are vanishing in slow motion. Executives pull out of countries, production cuts get buried in press releases, and loyal drivers sense something is off. What caused Japanese brands to fade while others rose? Let's see why. 13. Subaru feels unstoppable in the USA. Europe tells a different story. There, the badge blends into the background, nearly invisible in sales charts. In Europe, Subaru holds roughly 0.2 to 0.3% market share most years. That means out of 1,000 cars sold, only 2 or 3 carry the stars. In some years, the brand delivers 30,000 to 55,000 units annually, which sounds big until you compare it to its US sales, where numbers run 20 times higher. So what blocks the breakthrough? Rules changed faster than the cars did. The EU CO2 fleet standards hit hard in 2020, ranking Subaru among the highest emitters that places the brand in the danger zone for fines, unless it electrifies quickly or pools emissions with a partner. But electrification moves slowly for Subaru. The loyal Boxer engine crowd loves tradition, but Europe loves regulations more. That mismatch squeezes time and market space. Therefore, every passing year raises the same question louder. How long can passion power a market built on policy? And that tension sets the stage for another brand caught between identity and reinvention. 12. Mazda never loses quietly. The world moved loud around it. First Russia, then China. Two pillars wobble at exactly the wrong time. In 2022, Mazda exited its Russian joint venture, selling its stake for €1 symbolic price. Very real losses. War disrupts supply chains, markets freeze, and Mazda chooses control over uncertainty. It hurts, but the decision ends a chapter cleanly. Then China shifts lanes faster than expected. Local EV brands explode into the spotlight. Joint ventures strain under competition and pricing pressure. Sales slide hard through 2022, triggering restructuring talks and one clear truth. Growth here needs a new formula. Globally, Mazda remains stable, but markets today punish hesitation. Visibility shrinks fast when domestic champions innovate faster, and governments reward local electrification first. What makes this moment fascinating lies in the timing. Two market storms land almost back-to-back. Different causes, same outcome, shrinking footholds where scale used to anchor expansion. And just when brands think the sharp cuts are over, another story proves the deepest restructures can still leave scars. 11. Nissan One collapse triggers a rebuild. One rebuild triggers a purge. Nissan knows the cost of survival better than most. The 2019 earnings shock lands like a warning siren. 98.5% profit drop in a single quarter. The response? Surgical and massive. 12,500 jobs cut globally. Entire production lines reconsidered. No hesitation, no slow pivot. Then 2020 formalizes the reset. Nissan announces a 300 billion yen cost reduction plan. Plants close, including Barcelona. Production exits Indonesia. The phrase guiding everything becomes smaller, smarter, tighter. The strategy earns a name: shrink to grow. Brutal in wording, brutal in execution. It accepts a truth many brands avoid. Size only matters if it sustains itself. Today, Nissan remains globally recognized, but presence looks different. Leaner, recalculated. Strength now lives in fewer bets placed smarter rather than many placed loudly. Because survival now belongs to brands willing to cut deep before the market cuts deeper, raising the question: what happens when luxury tries the same reset, yet still loses momentum in entire regions? 10. Infiniti. In 2017, Infiniti sold 153,000 cars in the US. That becomes the mountain peak. After that, the numbers slide. By 2022, sales drop below 65,000 units. At the same moment, Europe quietly closes its doors. In early 2020, Infiniti shut down sales in Western Europe. No dramatic announcement, no farewell tour, dealers transition, factories pivot, and the Q30 and QX30 stop production in the UK before most buyers realize it ends. Fans feel confused. analysts feel less surprised. The luxury market demands identity, aggression, or heritage. Lexus has calm precision. Acura has a tech edge. Infiniti tries to fight with design, but timing lands wrong. Therefore, cars launch into a world already choosing sides. Infiniti keeps pushing new plans and resets, but recovery looks uphill. The challenge now becomes visibility, not capability. Cars exist. The audience shifts. Then comes the brand that leaves even faster than luxury fades, exiting an entire country in one final decision, walking away from millions of buyers. How does a name vanish that fast? 9. Isuzu. In 2008, Isuzu ended passenger car sales in the United States. Full stop, not a pause, not a slowdown, a clean exit. Trucks stay, cars disappear. Isuzu once competed in driveways and dealerships across America. It sells the Rodeo, Trooper, Axiom, and I-Series trucks, building trust with working families, off-roaders, and budget buyers. But sales shrink every year, and keeping dealerships fed with new passenger models stops making sense. So the company pulls the plug. Part service stays alive, commercial trucks grow stronger. However, the chapter called Isuzu Cars in America ends there. The decision shocks loyal owners, but it also reveals the truth. Even a recognized badge can fade if new generations stop seeing it. Market silence hurts more than competition noise, and while that exit stings, another Japanese name goes even further. Using bankruptcy courts to close the story, sending shockwaves through American car culture in 2012, involving $346 million in liabilities. How does a brand reach that point? 8. Suzuki. In November 2012, American Suzuki filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The U.S. car business ends inside a courtroom, not a dealership. Outside America, Suzuki thrives, especially in India, where it controls nearly 43% of the entire car market. Through Maruti Suzuki inside America, the math collapses. Yen currency pressure rises. Regulations tighten, the lineup shrinks. Then sales fall below 30,000 units a year, which is unsustainable for national distribution. So the car division shuts down. Motorcycles, marine, and ATVs stay. Dealers pivot, owners worry. Headlines land heavy. That moment draws a line between global strength and local survival. People outside the industry assume global success guarantees safety. Suzuki proves it does not. One country can go dark while the empire thrives elsewhere. And if leaving a market sounds extreme, the next story pushes further. A Japanese brand founded in 1989, born glamorous, dead before 2000, and erased so completely that most car fans today never learned its name. What kills a brand that fast? 7. AutoZam. AutoZam launched in 1989 as part of Mazda's bold, multi-brand takeover plan. Mazda wants different dealerships for different personalities. That means new flags, new logos, new identities. AutoZam becomes the cute, compact, small car specialist. It sells fun K models like the AutoZam AZ1, the tiny gull-wing sports car that became legendary among collectors. The AZ1 weighs 720 kilograms, 1,587 pounds, and runs a 657 cubic centimeter turbo engine. Small on paper, unforgettable on the road. But while critics like the creativity, buyers hesitate. Japan's bubble economy burst in the early 1990s. Car budgets shrink. Confidence evaporates. So dealerships struggle. Cars move slowly. Reality tightens fast. By 1998, Mazda ended the experiment. AutoZam folds quietly almost overnight. Some dealers flip over to standard Mazda signs linking back to the main brand. The cars remain cult classics, but the name evaporates from the long war of showroom survival. And survival becomes even harder when a brand survives, but its original soul disappears. After a major 1966 merger that ends one of Japan's greatest engineering dynasties forever 6, Prince Motor Company. Prince Motor Company helped shape Japan's car identity in the 1950s and 60s. It engineers boldly, thinking bigger than its size, sharper than its competition. Prince built the early Skyline, Gloria, and the race-bred R380, the car that defeated Porsche in Japan at the 1966 Japanese Grand Prix. It puts the world on notice. The engineers become stars. The cars earn worship. Then comes the twist that shifts everything. In August 1966, Prince merged into Nissan as Japan consolidated its automotive giants to fight international competition. The Prince name stops appearing on badges. The teams, brains, factories, and DNA fully absorb into Nissan. But Prince never really leaves. The Skyline continues. The engineering philosophy lives on. However, the brand name fades into history. So the irony becomes sharp. The company survives through influence, but the identity ends by strategy. And strategy evolves again decades later, when a truck giant gets sold in 2021, shifting to new ownership, raising fears about what independence meant in the first place. 5 UD Trucks. UD Trucks began in 1935 as Nihon Diesel Industries, evolving into one of Japan's toughest commercial truck brands. For decades, the name carried weight in logistics, mining, and heavy industry. Then Volvo bought UD in 2007, bringing Swedish ownership and global reach. The trucks improve, the footprint grows, but the identity shifts. So drivers start asking a quiet question: who owns the soul of the brand now? The next chapter lands in April 2021. Volvo completes the sale of UD Trucks to Isuzu Motors. The strategy focuses on shared technology, shared costs, and shared survival. The badge lives, the command center moves. Today, UD still builds trucks, but under Isuzu direction, therefore, the brand becomes a symbol of endurance, not independence. The trucks keep working, the autonomy stops evolving, and autonomy becomes dangerous again when a major Japanese truck maker admits in 2022 to falsifying emissions data for over 20 years, triggering raids and mass shipment halts. How does trust recover from numbers that big? 4. Daihatsu has been building cars in Japan since 1907, making it the country's oldest engine producer. For decades, it has owned the K car crown. Tiny cars, smart packaging, low taxes, big sales. Models like the Daihatsu Mira, 1980, and Move, 1995, define city driving style. By 2013, Toyota bought its remaining 48.8% stake, making Daihatsu a full subsidiary. So the mission changes. Instead of global expansion, Daihatsu became Toyota's small car workshop. Then comes the shock. In December 2023, Daihatsu admitted to falsifying safety test data on 64 different models. Some sold for Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda production halts. Shipments freeze. Trust cracks wide open. Plants in Osaka, Kyoto, and Oita stop. Thousands of workers wait. Dealerships scramble for answers. Then executives bow publicly in apology, a brutal ritual Japan reserves for corporate catastrophe. Japan still loves tiny cars, but the brand standing behind them now carries doubt, not swagger. Recovery starts slow, very slow, and recovery looks gentle compared to a brand that lost $1.7 billion in 1 year while hiding a defect that threatened lives. How deep can a hole go before rescue turns impossible? 3. Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi once stood tall. The Lancer Evolution, 1992 to 2016, dominates rally culture. Pajero won 12 Dakar rally titles, including 7 straight from 2001 to 2007. This brand shapes legends, but 2016 changes everything. Mitsubishi admits it falsified fuel economy data on 625,000 vehicles. A scandal that traces back 25 years. Stock drops 43% in 1 week. Trust collapses faster than damage control can move. So Nissan steps in. In October 2016, Nissan bought 34% of Mitsubishi, saving the company with a financial lifeline and folding it into the Renault-Nissan alliance. Sales stabilize. The company survives, but energy shifts. Fans still talk about the Evo like a car religion, but it never returns. The rally soul fades into spreadsheets. Mitsubishi builds reliable crossovers today, but the emotional high voltage of the past stays unplugged. Survival becomes realistic. Revival stays uncertain. But uncertainty means luxury next, because one Japanese brand spent $20 billion trying to look premium, only to retreat quietly years later. Was the world ever convinced? 2. Lexus launched globally in 1989, backed by Toyota's dream to beat BMW and Mercedes. The LS 400 debuts with insane precision, a 4.0-liter V8, 250 horsepower, and 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, quieter than a library room test at 100 kilometers per hour. In the US, it explodes. Dealers can't keep stock. J.D. Power crowns it with reliability awards on repeat. So success looks guaranteed. But Lexus avoids Japan at first. Toyota fears it will cannibalize its own luxury badge, Toyota sells here. So Lexus only entered Japan in 2005, 16 years later. The market shrugs. Buyers see Lexus as just a Toyota wearing a nicer jacket. Sales climb slowly, then stall. Brand power hits lower peaks compared to its American dominance. Therefore, Toyota pumps billions into premium repositioning. Estimates reach $20 billion in cumulative development, marketing, and global luxury infrastructure push. Lexus survives. Lexus thrives abroad, but at home, acceptance moves at cautious speed, earned inch by inch. And caution might have saved reputations, unlike the final brand, where a 2017 inspection fraud forced 1.2 million cars into recalls. How does a name survive numbers like that? 1. Datsun began in 1931, built by DAT Motorcar. By the 1970s, it became Japan's biggest export car name. In the US, Datsun grew so fast that by 1975, 1 in every 10 imported cars sold is a Datsun. That includes the 510, loved by racers, and the 240Z in 1969, a sports car that shocks global markets while costing half the price of European rivals. The 240Z sold over 150,000 units by 1973. Car and Driver called it the most exciting Japanese car ever built in 1970. Fans treat it like a revolution, so Datsun builds more winners. The B210 became the first import to win the US Sales Car of the Year in 1974. Therefore, the world believes Datsun can do no wrong. Then 1986 arrived. Nissan kills the Datsun name entirely to unify global branding. Dealerships lose foot traffic. Loyal owners feel erased. Sales wobble, identity cracks, momentum fades. The name returns in 2013 for budget markets, but the magic stays missing. But what happens when a car company spends over $2.4 billion on one electric model that sells under 10,000 units worldwide? A decision is coming, and once these brands disappear, they never return. Click the next video on your screen right now before it disappears. Another story waits to be revealed.